Here's what I wish I knew about achieving a goal when I was starting out. Welcome. My name's Andrea. And if you're new here, this is a place where we talk about things like thought leadership and neurodiversity and how to communicate in business so that you can be effective. Today, what I wanted to talk a little bit about is this idea of setting and achieving goals. When I was young, goals were something that were drilled into me. I've been in business for over 40 years. And in that time, no matter where I've worked, who I've worked for, or even being an entrepreneur, goals are the things that have driven every outcome that I've ever achieved. And yet, I would be the first person to say that I am not goal-oriented. It took me a long time to understand that about myself. And the reality is, when I was diagnosed as neurodiverse about 2-3 years ago, I started to get a better understanding of why I have struggled so much with goals throughout my entire career. And that doesn't mean I didn't achieve goals. I did. I achieved a lot of goals. But every time I would set a goal, I'd feel heavy and uncomfortable. And I was never really sure how we were going to achieve it. Because for me, goal setting is something that held no energy for me. What I've come to understand is that what a goal is an anchor point towards a bigger purpose. And so every goal that I would set was actually a way for me to climb closer or get clearer on something. And what I mean by an anchor point, and I kind of think about it like this. Now, when I drive, I love to drive, and I like to go fast, which probably is not a good thing. But I can be on the highway, and if you've ever driven on a highway that has multiple lanes, one of the things that happens is you find yourself in a lane that's going slow, and you want to go in the fast lane. And so you start trying to figure out how you can get into that fast lane, out from behind the slow driver you're behind and into the faster lane. And by doing that, I anchor myself into a faster driving mode. And sometimes what happens is I get into the fast lane and then it starts to slow down. If I've anchored myself above a few cars, then I'm ahead, and then I can do the same, go back into the other lane. So what I'm doing is I'm anchoring myself in different places. I'm still moving forward, and if I'm doing it well and safely, because that's always really important, but what I'm doing is I'm anchoring myself ahead. And that's what I mean by anchoring with goal setting. So for me, I've stopped calling goals goals. I've started calling them anchors. What is the anchor that I'm trying to achieve next? Where am I going that's going to get me a little closer to my overall vision? I often talk about creating a world that is more inclusive and that lives and reflects the diversity of everybody living within it, and me in some way contributing to that. Well, every time I work with a corporate leader who is maybe diverse or an academic who thinks a little bit differently, anchoring to that goal, I'm a little closer, because now what's happening is I've found a way to get closer to achieve a piece of that overall vision. Now, my goal might be to grow my business. And so maybe that goal is to achieve a certain number of revenue. Well, every time I'm achieving one of these anchors, I'm actually contributing to that overall goal of the actual revenue target that I'm looking at. Everyone is contributing towards it, but I'm not looking at the overall target and being heavy and overwhelmed by it. You see, as a neurodiverse person, part of my challenge is that my brain doesn't process dopamine in quite the same way that non-neurodiverse people get dopamine. So I don't get that same form of high or lift from the achievement of a goal. What I get, and what's important for me, is moving into what's more relational, and that's an oxytocin hit. And so by looking at these anchors and seeing how every person I'm working with, or every company that I'm working with that is in some way creating impact, I'm getting closer to that overall vision, and it's a relationship, and I'm getting oxytocin, which feels good to me. So moving from goals, which are dopamine-driven, to anchors that are oxytocin-driven has really shifted the way that I work and the way that I work with others. So I wonder for you, does this resonate at all? Are you hearing maybe some of your own blocks? What are the goals that you've been trying to achieve and you just can't seem to get any passion around them? Maybe look at, is it too dopamine driven and you just aren't believing that the dopamine will be there for you or you'll feel the way you want to? Maybe you shift it. I use the word anchor. It may not be right for you. What's the word that in some way feels like a relationship to you, that gives you the oxytocin that maybe will help you achieve that goal more easily? Now, if this has been helpful, make sure that you hit the like button below. And if you are new here, consider subscribing. We talk a lot about thought leadership and neurodiversity and communication skills. And we're looking at how we can all grow together. Comment below on how this content landed for you.